In the last section, we had a very long discussion about what Kubernetes is doing behind the scenes to deploy our application with some given deployment file. And there's a couple of takeaways I want to highlight very quickly. So here's a couple of important notes that I just want to kind of double down on and make sure are really clear. So first off, Kubernetes overall is a system to deploy containerized apps. We've been talking about services and pods and objects and all this stuff, but at its core, it's all about deploying containerized applications. Some of these different objects that we're going to make use of have a goal of supporting these containerized applications, but at the end of the day, it's all about running containers. Next up, a node is an individual machine, like a physical computer or a virtual machine that is going to run some number of containers or objects. On your computer with Minikube, you are currently running exactly one VM that is behaving as the node. We also have a master. This is a machine or virtual machine that has that set of programs that are going to be managing everything that goes on inside the nodes associated with your Kubernetes cluster. Now, the next item on here is something we didn't quite cover. Remember Kubernetes, we did. We spoke about Docker Hub. So Kubernetes specifically did not build our image. It got the image that we wanted to deploy from Docker Hub. Next big thing is that the master decided where to run each container. You and I did not add in any input saying, hey, specifically, I want you to run this multi-worker container like over here or over here. Now, we absolutely can control where a container gets deployed. We can add in some configuration to our deployment files to say, oh yeah, I want this pod that gets created to be created on like this node or this node. We have the ability to do that, but by default, the master is going to decide where to deploy all of our different objects for us. Now, the last two items on here, and this is the real focus of what I want to cover inside this section, is the important stuff. So to deploy something, we updated the desired state of the master with a config file, right? We passed in this deployment file over here, and the master updated its little list of responsibilities to say, oh, okay, yeah, I understand. I'm supposed to be running 4 copies of the multi-worker image. So the way in which we interacted with our entire Kubernetes cluster was to update its desired state. We said, this is what we want you to be doing. We did not specifically say something like, hey, please create this copy of multi-worker, and this copy, and this copy, and this copy. Instead, we just very generically say things like, I want to run 4 copies. And then we hand that directive off to the master. And the master is in charge of making that happen. Now, the other big important thing here is to understand that the master is going to work constantly to meet your desired state. And that was the entire purpose of me killing one of those containers and showing you that Kubernetes automatically restarted it for us. So the master is going to just constantly churn away at its list of responsibilities and make sure that our desired state right here, like the fact that we need to have 4 copies, is always going to be met. Now, again, this entire topic, or this entire idea of having the master kind of work to meet our desired state, and the entire idea of us passing some desired state to the master in the form of a configuration file is really key to understanding Kubernetes and how you and I work with it as a developer. So we're going to look at a couple more diagrams that are going to expand upon this idea of us kind of telling Kubernetes what we want, as opposed to us very specifically saying like, hey, please create this pod or something like that. Now, this overall topic is kind of a discussion between 2 ways of approaching deployment. We could approach deployment with an imperative style or a declarative style. With an imperative style, you and I would issue a series of commands that say specifically like, create this container, and create this container, and then delete that one, and then upgrade that one, and restart that one, or whatever might need to happen. In the case of a declarative deployment, we say to our master something like, you know, it'd be great if you just made 4 containers happen and made 4 containers happen all the time. And you know what, master, you just go ahead, you figure out how to deal with that. So with the imperative, we give very discrete actions, or very discrete commands. With the declarative, we kind of set guidelines